Define your terms. Well, it's not a democracy in that people cannot vote for their leaders. It's not a dictatorship. Maybe that conjures up images of Hitler or Mussolini. It's not really that either. You have a strong leader at the top of a communist party, a one-party state, and this leader is Xi Jinping. He doesn't have absolute power, but he has a lot of power. It's a one-party state. That might be the best way to think of it, where there's one political party that runs all facets of life, from companies to universities to the government. The term democracy is really important in Chinese politics because it goes back to the beginning of modern China. In 1919, there was this thing called the May 4th movement, and people asked for Mr. Democracy and Mr. Science. So they wanted China not to be run by emperors and things like that. But democracy means a lot of different things to different people, but the Communist Party claims that it's an heir to this movement. And they want to cloak themselves in the mantle of this enlightened movement. So they gotta say that they are a democracy, even though they are not really a democracy based on most definitions. The shorter answer is not really. You do have freedom of speech based on the Chinese constitution, but the scope for expressing opinion has decreased quite a lot in recent years. So, it used to be that you could debate a lot of different social policies, the best way to deal with China's rural problems, the best kind of economic policies. That was seen as an open field for a robust discussion on all kinds of different things. That's become a lot less in recent years, so that now the area where you can express opinions is really narrow. The Communist Party had this disastrous period when it ran China that kind of ended in the late 1970s, and that included the world's worst recorded famine and a period of turmoil known as the Cultural Revolution. And China was a really poor country, and the Communist Party had lost people's support. So they decided to try to win it back by ruling China with more pragmatic policies, with a lighter touch. They began to allow economic reforms, which has created the prosperous superpower that we know, but they also permitted more expression of opinions and religious participation and things like that. There were always clear limits, and we can see that in 1989 with the Tiananmen Square protests that resulted in a massacre of hundreds of people because people were challenging the party. The party responded with just brute force by sending in the army and clearing the square. So that was always clear, but overall there was still this scope for debate and discussion in the 1990s and 2000s. And I think what happened was about 15 years ago, the party decided that things had gone too far and they needed to rein it in. And so they started, after the 2008 Beijing Olympics, to crack down much more seriously on dissent. People understand that the political system is run by the party and that they may be party members and they may therefore think they have a bit more influence, but most people, let's face it, are not party members. There's 1.4 billion people in China. There are about 90 million party members. That's a lot of people, but that's still sort of like 1 in 15 people are in the party. And even if you're in the party, I don't think you're going to really feel like you have a say because you can't vote on Xi Jinping even if you're in the Communist Party. So there's nothing, it's not like in a system that has, say, you're a member of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party and you can vote in a primary for who your candidate should be. There's nothing like that in China. So I'd say basically people don't feel like they have a say. The party is fairly tolerant toward people who have constructive criticism. So if you've got a concrete problem, like let's say you're in a factory, your factory hasn't paid you for 2 weeks or 2 months or something like that, and even if you protested, if the party would look at that and say, aha, those people have not been paid, we're going to pay them. We got a big slush fund here to take care of this. We're going to just pay everybody. As long as you then go home, they're going to be okay with what you did. So the party isn't against any sort of feedback. It's not like you have to completely keep your mouth closed. So I think in that sense, people may feel that they have some input in their lives, but there's no real direct way to choose your leaders. It's not that they don't necessarily want democracy, but they probably think of democracy as meaning the party listens to people and people have some sort of feedback into the party. So if people feel that they aren't being listened to, and this was the case, say, with the COVID lockdowns, then they feel that that's not democratic, that's not democracy. So they think of democracy maybe as more participatory, as more of an interaction or a dialogue rather than I go to a ballot box and vote for somebody. And I guess sort of the answer, they want to feel that they have some stable life, that they have, that tomorrow will be a better day, that they'll be more prosperous, that their children can go to school and so on and so forth, just like people in every country. And they want a political system that can make that possible. And by and large, China's political system, despite its often brutal methods of governing, has delivered those kind of goods over the past 30 or 40 years. The question, I think, going forward is if it can't deliver that, then what happens?